Lauren says, please sing Cher's Life After Love. No.
Welcome back to Visited by Voices, just talking genre, whereas I was too lame to create a new opening, so I just decided to play everything still in StreamYard. I'm joined today.
Organize your StreamYard, Lord.
Hey, yeah, well, at least I intended to do the nonsense. Love you, Piz. So how are you, Sam?
I'm really tired. I've been up since 3:30 and it's Saturday. And I'm like, I'm hanging on. I've got coffee, but you know, it's been a day. Obviously, me and Mr. Sam were busy. We got haircuts. I chopped all of mine off because it was just too long. And honestly, this is usually the length I try to keep it at. I can't go as short as you, Lauren. I'm getting there though. Eventually, I'll work my way up.
Well, you know, this is a choice, but it's not much of a choice. So
still, yeah, we've been going through some of our Bones coffee, and yeah, this is the birthday cake one. It does taste like it has the aftertaste of hookah.
I don't know what the first taste of hookah is, so
it's fine. You don't really. It's either like, but I've been thinking more about it. But it also kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Black and Mild, like one of those wine flavored Black and Milds with the wood tip specifically. I don't know. It's kind of a weird combination. It's not my favorite from Bones. I like the Army of Dark Chocolate's pretty good though. I do like that, but I like chocolate coffee.
I'm drinking the Pennsylvania Dutch Diet Birch Beer tonight.
Oh.
Which is, I love birch beer. I might prefer birch beer to root beer. I do like a good sarsaparilla though as well. You know, cactus root is pretty amazing, but birch beer has a really off-putting taste at first, I think, for everyone, because it's not what you expect. And again, it kind of tastes a little medicine-y, and I have a thing for that. I like medicine flavored soda. I think
does Moxie like that?
Moxie is full forced cough syrup flavored.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm out of Moxie now though. I drank the rest of the Orc provided Diet Moxie. Straight from Maine on the last region free. I'm a little heartbroken, but I'm so grateful that I got to experience it again. We used to have a beer distributor not close to us, but somewhat near us, that stocked Moxie, but they never stocked the Diet. So when I went all Diet, I'm not doing regular sodas, I kind of lost it. Hello, Kazi. Hello.
Oh,
there we go.
Oh, the baby. I heard that. She doesn't want to talk today.
Nah, she's probably speaking in Croatian, so
yeah,
Serbia Croatian. So I wanted to start with something that I actually have been trying to figure out a way to work into some show, and I just never really have figured it out. So I'm just going to do it here. During the early 1980s, Alice Cooper kind of went through this weird stage where he didn't know how to be relevant, and he was drunk and high all the time. If you watch any documentary about him, you'll discover how dark of a period it was. Like, they literally sent him home to die.
Yeah, I mean, drugs and alcohol do that to you.
So the albums he was releasing then are really strange albums because he was trying to remain relevant. They're basically new wave records, but they're weird new wave records. Like, even new wave people would look at it and go, I don't know. But the last of those is an album called Dada, which was kind of less weird and a little bit more what you'd expect from Alice Cooper.
Okay.
And it's, I think, a kind of hidden masterpiece. And there's a song in it called Formerly Warmer, which to my mind is the most Poe-inspired piece of brilliant, creepy music that's probably ever been recorded. And it's because it's on that album, no one gives it the credit. So I just wanted to read the lyrics to the song and let everyone kind of enjoy something I think that has stayed hidden from a lot of people for way too long. Formerly Warmer. In an upstairs room, under lock and key, it's my brother, former Lee. All the mops and brooms keep him company, misconceived of the family. Formerly Warmer pulls up the covers to hide in his wrinkled bed. No dreams go in, no dreams go out of the hole in his wrinkled head. Formerly Warmer. When I hear him play in his twisted key, that's when he calls to me. On a silver tray, I keep the master key. In every way, he depends on me. Formerly Warmer. An old smoking jacket, holes in his satin sleeves. Candlelit puddles, arthritic fingers, yellow-stained ivory keys. In an upstairs room, under lock and key, it's my brother, formerly. And after all these years, I've never heard him speak. I wonder what he thinks of me. Formerly Warmer peeks out the window when he feels really brave. Formerly Warmer waves at his father out in the family grave. He's flesh and blood to me. I love him brotherly, but I don't want to be formerly.
Does Alice Cooper have a brother or had a brother?
I don't believe so. I think he was an only child of an Arizona pastor.
Okay.
But I find it a remarkable work because we talk about horror in other forms besides just movies and novels, obviously. But music is always one that there's examples, but there's not a lot of great literary examples. You have Blue Oyster Cult's Imaginos album. That's the obvious one. And Alice Cooper has gone there. But this song in particular is so to me, it's just so strongly Poe. And I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see the Poe influences, but I mean, it feels like more like he's struggling with a part of himself that he's trying to keep alive.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of the morose thinking he's dying in that. Rock Music 90, in a couple of years after this album was 83, Alice would release Constrictor in 86, and that is definitely his first of his metal albums of the period. But these albums from Zipper Catches Skin, Dada, Special Forces, these are definitely new wave records. I mean, there's more synths than guitars on them.
Yeah, I mean, also naming your album Dada, yeah. And I don't know enough about Dadaism to make anything more intelligent than that as far as a connection.
Yeah, it's funny too because the albums before he was chasing a big hit. And Dada does not have a song that's obviously chasing a big hit.
Yeah.
I think he was like resigned that he wanted to make one last serious record if this was the end of his career and maybe his life. Now he got clean, formed a hard rock band. I wouldn't even call them truly metal. It's a hard rock thing. It really is. And Constrictor comes out. It has the song from the 6th Friday 13th album on it, which gets a lot of attention and video play. And his career's back. But it's interesting to see an artist at the end of what he assumed his career would be, wanting to kind of put a pin in it. And I think Dada is an album that everyone should actually, that likes Alice Cooper at all. If you have to like big theatrical rock to kind of dig him, but it's a very moody album. I love it. And I just wanted to share it with you. I know this probably didn't belong here at all, but
no, that was weird and gothic, and I liked it.
Yeah.
That was rad.
I think so. In a way, it reminds me of kind of what Tool would be doing in the early mid-90s.
I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they have all the uncomfortable sexual stuff instead of like the strict gothic stuff, but there's still that really dark, morose, festering kind of, I don't know, neo-goth.
Yeah, just kind of like digging further and further until it's really uncomfortable, which I think, we have to have. It's, I don't think we can really operate, and I don't think horror can work if you're not getting to the point where you're uncomfortable at some point. I mean, you're gonna have your slasher flicks that are more more like your popcorn flicks, and that's fine. But I like it when they get to something deep that really resonates within you, and just it makes you have to like look back and kind of reevaluate yourself. That's the good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, horror works best as a mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's you in the mirror or everyone behind you in the mirror too, right? So, in a way, I've always regretted that the cheesy bathroom mirror scare. Open the mirror, you're no one, and then bam, the ghost is behind you. In a way, it's the best conceptual scare ever because it's kind of what the horror movie is.
Yeah.
But it's been badly done for so long and overdone for so long that it's lost all of its legitimacy and power.
Yeah.
I even think, and this is going to be weird for me to be bringing this up, but I even thought that, like, when I first saw Nightmare on Elm Street 4, the big let's kill Freddy by making him look into a mirror thing, it doesn't work because they don't establish it.
I know.
But there's an idea that could work if they bothered to put any energy whatsoever into it. Of course, I'm not sure how it works if he comes out of the mirror in the first film. I'm not sure if, like, continuity really works for it anyway, but there could have been an idea there.
Yeah, I agree, but 4 was all over the place, and I understand people's critiques of it, and that all good. Y'all can critique it. I understand. It's one of those friggin' night at the comedy cellar for Freddy over here, and there are some things that I like about 4 where he has a couple of lines that are very serious, like "You shouldn't have buried me, I'm not dead," and then when he's confronting Alice and he says, "I've been guarding my gate for a long time, bitch," and that was before we got bitch this and bitch that, and before it was like we got the whole Scary Terry version of Freddy essentially, where it's just everything ends with bitch, and that's when it's like when he threw down bitch. It had some gravity and some weight to it, because that's when it was like in 3, he writes it on Joey's chest, or as a message to Nancy, and then he says it to Alice, and those both had some meaning to them, as far as we're looking for meaning in Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
Well, I think the first film has something to it. I really do, and I think accidentally the second film has things to it.
No, I know. But in 3 and 4 we're getting more of a jokester there. But yeah, the reflection just wasn't established very well. In fact, that's kind of one of the things that's like, if you kind of look back on it, Freddy's died in some really stupid ways. Like he got killed by his own reflection, and then also, I know everybody loves part 2 now as a cult classic because it has an excellent it's a
weird fucking movie. That's all. That's why people love it. It's just a weird
fucking movie. But the thing is, it's like Freddy's killed by the power of heteronormative love, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Well, I think the problem with a Freddy is that the first film is a ghost story. I mean, it's not a slasher film, really. It's a ghost story, which is why we see like the covers in the jail cell curling like a snake over the neck and everything. Like that's not Freddy. You're not seeing Freddy just in there strangling a dude, right? And it was the last time they really presented the character as a ghost, as a specter, as a wraith, right? And he just happened to affect people would see him in his dreams, but that was only a component of it, right? That was how you could experience Freddy.
Yeah.
And I think that's really strong, but I wish I hadn't abandoned it.
Well, so here's the thing that I was thinking about also. This was maybe a few weeks ago, but it's like we keep pulling Freddy out of the dream world and then killing him in the real world.
Like it's gonna work.
Doesn't really seem to work. So I was thinking about, I'm like, well, wait, if you're pulling him out of there, who says that you're not pulling the dream world out too? Just saying. Maybe that's why it's not working.
I think that sounds like a great pitch. That's a great pitch for a film. That you pull Freddy out and you think you just won, but in reality, all the dream weirdness and all the dream reality is now part of our world because of you. You know,
Yeah,
that's a lot. That's a lot more creative than anything they really ever did with the series.
I know. But
and I think the other problem.
Trying to get a job.
I think the other problem with the Freddy character is that the time period was so bad to develop that character. I wish we'd had gotten Freddy Krueger in 75, 76. Because the 80s were such a pop culture MTV generation that it was going to get watered down fast, and it did. Just did.
Yeah.
I wish we would have gotten at least a few films that took it seriously before it dove completely off the fence. And I think I'd have a very different opinion of the series than I do if that was the case. Because I do really like the first film. I think it needs to be a little bit more robust to be the true classic that it probably should be. It is pretty loose structurally, but it works and it's effective and legitimately was scary in its time. I hear from all the time that kids say they don't find it scary, but I wonder if it's just the familiarity with Freddy just makes it impossible now.
Yeah, I know.
But the second film almost is scary. I mean, it's almost there.
I mean, there's just there, it's just there. It has a more haunting atmosphere. I just, and I like the idea of having Freddy take over your body. I just don't think they quite got there. And there, that the ending shot of the movie itself with that really shitty claw bursting out of Carrie's chest on the school bus, that's a terrible edit. I hate watching that the ending of it. I really do. Does anybody care what happened to Jesse? Nobody ever expounds on that.
No.
I mean, like, if y'all want to do something different, and if y'all want to go and like spin something, I mean, don't do this, but like you could just work with Jesse, because technically we never saw him die, but then we also never saw Alice die. I'd like to see what happened to Alice. We already know her son's dead, got killed in 6.
There you go.
I don't know. I have all the complaints about Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't want to see any more Freddy movies. I just don't.
Well, congratulations. You're getting one. So
I need you to explain that to me, because I swear, like, you sent it to me, you sent it to us, and then I was reading, I'm like, I still don't know what I'm looking at.
Yeah, we might need to talk about that off the air.
Okay. Never mind. Oops. Oops.
I just got to make sure that it's kosher to discuss. I don't know. I think at the same time, a film like Bad Dreams that came out, which took kind of the Nightmare on Elm Street mythos, but it was, to me, a more mature take on the material than any of the sequels. And I think that hurt my perception of the series too. That a ripoff, a bald-faced ripoff called Bad Dreams, was way better than, for me, any of the sequels. That didn't help it from my perspective. Wow, I love that we have actual spam in the chat. Look at that.
I know, but girl right here, girl here. It's
That's
already
great.
happening.
Enough watch stream.
I know. Weird. I mean, that's kind of flattering. So anyway, if I can, I just, speaking of Bad Dreams though, maybe not Bad Dreams, but bad waking life. You saved me and Chris from a fate worse than death tonight, because it was sort of like we went for a walk and we came back and, hey, cool, we're going to talk genre tonight. I'm down with that, because we were going to watch The Craft Legacy.
Oh.
And it's sort of like we were wearing the perfect outfits to do so, and then do a video about it, because mine says Hail Lobster, which is just like a Jordan Peterson thing, and that's where the villain is influenced by Jordan Peterson, which is just like, fuck off. I'm sorry, that's low hanging. Y'all are fucking lazy writers. And then his just says pain on it. I mean, it's perfect. So I thank you for not making me watch The Craft Legacy, because I know I know it's going to be as bad, if not worse, as Black Christmas.
I saw the original Craft. I remember nothing about it. I mean, I remember the poster.
Yeah, I mean, I still really love that movie. You know, it's a nice little comfort watch. It's still fun.
Even without remembering anything about it, I'll say it's better than Hocus Pocus. That's as far as I'll go, because I don't remember.
I mean, you're right. It's definitely better than Hocus Pocus. I'm just kind of like...
I do not understand how Hocus Pocus is like a third of the Halloween stores.
Because I guess next year we get a sequel that... I don't... Do we need a sequel?
I mean... No.
Is anybody that curious about what happened to the Sanderson sisters? I'm not.
I'm sure
You
not.
don't have to make another one. This is like remaking The Witches. You don't have to do that. You can just leave it alone. Maybe it's a rights thing.
Yeah, keep going back and saying, hey, we have, about 130 years of Gothic literature to adapt. That maybe like 0.01% of it has been made it to the screen. Don't say you don't have ideas. You apparently don't have a library near you.
Yeah, it's. But we did watch Mortal Kombat last night, the new one, and it was so fun. So I'm gonna have a nostalgia moment over here, because I played those games growing up. I pretty much stopped playing in the mid-aughts when they got a little bit more realistic and we started doing more of like the 3D fighting, and I have no depth perception. So it's 2D fighters and platformers, and that's all I can handle. So, it's fine. But oh man, that's and I and I mean, I think even though it's a video game movie, we kind of have to put it at least in the horror adjacent category. Same with the first two Mortal Kombat movies. Did you see either of those?
I think I've seen both of them. I remember very little. Again, I remember the second one had some really, really dodgy CGI monsters or dragons or some fucking thing.
Real bad. And Mortal Kombat Annihilation is a hot mess, but
good soundtrack, as I remember, though.
First one was better. First one was pretty good. I don't have it anymore, but I remember bumping a lot of that music. I was like, yeah. It's sort of like how I feel like it was sort of, how people that were really into the Matrix were always listening to that soundtrack. It's like if you were really into Mortal Kombat, you were just listening to the Mortal Kombat theme over and over and over. But the new one is really gory. There are a couple of shots that are just a little too CG blood, but it's not bad. Like, the effects look good. Goro actually looks good. I was shocked. And Kano's the MVP of the movie, but I think it's just because, like, dude, there's a part where it's like the subtitles are just Kano mimics sad trombone. But he's an asshole, and it's like, oh, it's because I relate so much to him. And I'm like, fine. Because he does tell someone to get fucked, and I'm like, oh, it's me. It's me. I always thought I was Sonya. Turns out I'm Kano. But there's one part. So they have to go find their arcana. They're like their inner souls, powers. And Liu Kang is telling them the story about how basically, like, he found his arcana by, like, killing a child molester. So it's like he killed a child molester and learned how to throw fireballs, basically. And I was like, this is amazing. I'm so on board here. I was just really impressed in general, though. I hate that I waited so long to watch it.
They took the Rorschach backstory. This is a wholesale.
It was very fun. But, like, I was like, I had so much fun with it. I had to go and change my Twitter handle to Queen Samdell, because, like, Sindel was, like, who I mained in Mortal Kombat I think that's when she showed up. Because it was like Sonia was I was like, in the first one it was Sonia, and then it was Katana in the second one. And then in 3 it was like Sindel, but also some, like, still some Katana. So, and yeah, this is all going over.
Yeah, I watched the movie in the theater as if I was watching a foreign film where they forgot to broadcast the subtitles, because it was like, I really don't know. I mean, there's a basic, very simple plot that's happening, and I can follow that. I'm not a moron, but people's reactions to things, it was like, oh, I guess that was a joke, or I guess that was a reference, or I guess something visually happened on screen that they recognized, because they got a big reaction, and it was just a thing to me, a thing that happened.
Yeah. No, it was just like, God, it was so nice. Like, that is definitely my popcorn movie for the year so far. Here, girls want everyone, even you, even me. Oh, I'm flattered. Wow.
Jump right on that steak.
Yeah. But no, it was just it brought back the memories of kind of really enjoying the first Mortal Kombat movie and reveling in how much of a video game movie it was. But then it also kept a little bit of the cheesiness of just the overall seriousness that Mortal Kombat tries to take itself, which, you know, come on, guys. You know, and there was a lot of humor in it, and it was totally appropriate. Also, Reptile was just basically a lizard, and all I could think of was Joanna, the lizard from the Rescuers Down Under, and Reptile is apparently named Sizoth in this, which I don't know the backstory on it, so whatever. And all I could think of is like, those are not Sizoth eggs. I love The Rescuers Down Under. That's a wonderful movie.
With subliminal nudity.
That's true. But then The Brave Little Toaster has some of that in there too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time when, you know, we were trying to prepare children for the real world with these things.
Yeah.
I always wondered, The Fox and the Hound. That's the movie I always wanted. Like, you can say Disney wouldn't make this or that, but the Fox and the Hound, like, can you imagine that pitch meeting today? Oh, yeah, well, we're going to kill the dog at the end. What? No, violently. He gets hit by a train. What? Oh, sorry. Spoilers for a almost 50-year-old animated film that you grew up with.
Well, I mean, it's like, you know, we need those. Coco went over really well, and for a lot of reasons. And it's, you know, it really does, you know, pull on the heartstrings. So, I mean, I have to, that's a high recommend in itself. And I mean, I would still kind of put that in the realm of kid-friendly horror if you kind of want to, you know, get kids more comfortable with stuff like death and horror movies. Just get kids comfortable with death. Let's isolate that soundbite. Or you could just send them to the art class at a public school, and they'll discover all those things in a closet. Mm. Or make them watch a Doritos commercial.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. That was a weird commercial.
I love that all the commercials, and I don't watch much television, so this is just based on like 20-year-old information. But I love how like all the commercials go from being all spooky and Halloween to immediately Christmassy. Like there isn't that dip to normal commercials. It's just one to the other. So it's like your M&Ms are going to kill you one day, and the next day Santa's petting them on the head and letting them ride the reindeer. There's no middle ground.
But, you know, it's not officially the Christmas season until one commercial comes on. And y'all know what I'm talking about. It's the damn Hershey Kiss commercial where they're doing the jingle bells. Do, 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 do. And they haven't changed that commercial since then. They might have just, you know, tweaked it to make the definition a bit better. But the last time I saw it on TV, which was a few years ago when I still had cable, it still looked kind of grainy, and I loved it. But it's like, that's how I know that it's the Christmas times.
I remember in the early 90s getting pissed off because I saw Woody Woodpecker on television, and it looked clean and nice. Like they went back and remastered it. And I'm like, no! Yeah. What are you doing? Do you understand the importance of 40s and 50s cartoons at all?
Yeah,
They make them look nice. I never want to see like a Betty Boop cartoon looking nice. It needs to look like it was made up primarily of gasoline stains and skid marks. That's what cartoons should look like.
What are your thoughts on Hanna-Barbera cartoons? I'm not a Hanna-Barbera person.
I think I want to like Hanna-Barbera, but I really don't have like, if you were to even like discuss like what's your favorite, and I'm like, I don't know. Outside of the original Scooby-Doo, Where Are You, which is technically Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it gets real tough for me to be excited about any of it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, because they've got Jellystone on HBO Max, which I think it's headed by the guy that did Chowder, and I'm like, I never saw that show, but it's really funny, and it's got jokes that legitimately made me and Chris laugh, but at the same time, it's still like humor that's appropriate for kids. And I was just like, damn, that's fucking talented, man. I'm so pleased that show exists, and they had a cute little Halloween special too. But, the show itself is solid. High recommend for that, too. I'm just going to throw that out there.
It's weird because most of the cartoons from my youth that I watched when, there were Saturday morning cartoons for real, you go back to them and you're like horrifically disappointed. You're like, I remember this being so good and so cool, and they're not. The Real Ghostbusters is probably the exception. Like, I was really, really shocked revisiting a few episodes, maybe a year ago, and I was like, wow, you know what, it's still cartoony and it's for kids, but it's more than that. They were writing stories. There was like actual structure, whereas if you go back and watch a Thundercats or He-Man episode, you're gonna be disappointed. I promise you. They're pretty friggin' awful. You just happen to have grown up loving it, so you won't let it go. And I won't look at something like Challenge of the GoBots or something, because that's going to be a miserable experience.
Yeah, my problem is that, like, once I kind of aged out of Saturday morning cartoons, and didn't have anything cool, like, we only had Rocko's Modern Life for a little bit. We had All Real Monsters, which was fun. And then everything kind of just fell apart cartoon-wise. We got crap like Rocket Power and the grown-up Rugrats, and ugh. So then I kind of aged into, hey, what's on Cartoon Network in the afternoon? Oh, it's Sailor Moon. Well, I watch anime now forever. At least it was during, that was my teenage year. Those were my teenage years. It's just like, you watch one episode of Sailor Moon, that's your gateway drug, and then you're watching everything. Unless, you watch Dragon Ball Z first. Depends on what got you. Da boys. What up, Orc?
We already discussed the last of your Diet Moxies earlier, or you'll have to go back and check out.
I'm just imagining you were like trying to shake the last drop out of that can.
But I'm like that with like every can of soda, so.
Yeah, well, fair enough.
Although I had a Diet Snapple half and half lemonade and half iced tea this morning at 5 a.m. And I don't like the concept of that, but I really enjoyed it this morning. So I might not have been fully awake.
Okay. Well, that's a possibility.
I didn't know it was available diet, so I thought it was
I like the Arizona Diet green teas. Although I prefer the regulars, but I'll drink either.
And I like the Snapple, what is it, Rockapaka, whatever the hell that the idiot singer from Poison formulated for them, for real. Okay. And here's what I like about it. It tastes wretched, and then it gives you a headache. And there's just something magical about something is bad for you, but has been on the open market for like 10 years now.
God, that reminds me of like Jolt Cola too a little bit. Oh, God.
Jolt. You see, I was always, I remember having friends that were deeply into Jolt. But Jolt to me was just sugar. I couldn't taste the cola, so I wasn't as interested. But there was Double Cola here at that time. And Double Cola had a slight like root beer / birch beer flavor to it, but it was a cola. Okay. And I love that. And it's no longer available anywhere near me, except if you go to the Cracker Barrel, they sell single bottles of it for like $3 or something, which I kind of refuse to do. And I don't drink like regular sweetened sodas anymore. So
$3, that's kombucha prices.
Exactly. I remember Bubble Up being out here. That was like the bad Sprite ripoff. And sometimes the store brand like bad is good.
Yeah. Sometimes. I mean, we've still got a bunch of like store brand cola that Chris bought like a box of random like loose colas that they had on clearance for like $6, and there were like 60 sodas in there, something ridiculous.
The box was broken. They had to get rid of them. It's awesome.
I know. I love those. But we did find the Mountain Dew gingerbread, man. Or just gingerbread. I don't know if it tastes like what the difference is between like gingerbread and gingerbread man flavors. Just a little bit of frosting.
Yeah, I guess.
Sorry, that was a bad joke.
I got it.
But it was really, really good. And I thought it was going to be really nasty. But yeah, it's just that little bit of ginger kind of takes that extra sweetness off. And I don't know. See, if they have it in a diet version, I would probably give it a shot just to see the elephant.
Cool.
Yeah. It was like, man, Mountain Dew's kind of like killing it right now.
Isn't it
was good this year.
Isn't it interesting how certain brands realized that their original flavors didn't have to dominate them?
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a point in like, I don't know, 98 or something where Mountain Dew said, it's not really that important. We can all have other flavors with the Mountain Dew name. Suddenly Reese's peanut butter cups had everything in them. You know, this is one with peanuts in them. This is one with almonds in them. This is one with cake batter in them. This is one with broken glass. It didn't matter. If they could sell it, they'd make it. Look, it's camel shit. Go buy it.
You got chocolate in my camel shit. You got camel shit in my chocolate.
I bet you could sell that if you marketed it right.
Yeah, that's true.
Jonathan would be taste testing it on his channel next week.
No lie though, when I remember when Code Red came out for Mountain Dew, and it was like, oh my god, it's the biggest thing ever. And now It's just like a regular ass flavor, which I'm totally on board for because Code Red's my favorite. But you know, it's weird how we got so excited about these, and now it's just oh ho hum. They've been around forever. If they took Code Red away though, if they stopped making it, even though I haven't had a Code Red in several years, I would be pissed.
How long before Pop-Tarts makes a bacon-flavored Pop-Tart?
Are you sure those don't already exist?
I'm thinking, well, if it doesn't, it probably needs to, just so everyone can buy it and then kind of stare at it and not sure if they ever want to eat it.
It's probably like maple bacon, because I've like had maple bacon frosting. They already have maple bacon Pop-Tarts.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like I've made maple bacon cookies and they have like frosting to go with them. And I remember one time I still had like half a can of frosting left over from making cookies, and I think it was like a work thing. So like I got home from work and it was like, there's half a can of this maple bacon frosting in there, and I've got a bottle of wine, and that was my dinner. That's adulting.
Well, no one adults anymore though. That's the thing. No one cooks. That's why it's like the ramen noodle row used to be like something on an end cap in a grocery store. Like, you know, it was, now it's like half an aisle.
Yeah. No,
like,
I mean, no, we've got a lot of nice fancy ramen in the pantry, and I didn't cook today either. I made fucking taquitos and fucking rice-a-roni because I was fucking tired. So yeah, I mean, usually we're better about cooking during the week. You know, I'll make actual food.
I cook a lot. I do. I enjoy cooking, but obviously with work schedules, it's just not. You know, if you're just gonna cook for yourself, you look at it and you're going, I can make real food or pizza bites. Let's think about this.
Yeah, it's just, you know, the thing is, it's like, you know, the real food is gonna keep you fuller longer, but it's also like, how tired am I?
Yeah. And it's weird, like, you know, stuff's not really as good as you pretend it is. Like, you know, the aforementioned, like, pizza bites. They're not actually good. You don't actually enjoy it. But we like the idea of it enough to keep buying it and heating it up and throwing it down our gullet, so that in the middle of the night we have to get up and run to the bathroom. This is a thing we do. And
it tastes good in the moment. Like, which is how, you know, I am with ramen. You know, because I'm like, ooh, ramen, I love it. And a lot of that's like, ooh, anime, watch anime and eat ramen noodles like a fucking weeb. And that's fine when you're a teenager, but it's like when you're 37, it's like, I love ramen. It's just it's a pain. Like it's like eating McDonald's. You know you're going. It may taste good in that moment, but it's going to be like miserable recovering.
I got to tell you, I've found that I'm enjoying fast food a whole lot less. Not that I eat it all that often, but I without being able to sit in the restaurant, because a lot of them are still the drive-in only. I don't enjoy that experience of sitting in a parking lot eating fast food. There is something about being inside, sitting at a ridiculously brightly colored table, looking at photographs of buildings that have not existed for 60 years on the wall, and listening to odd conversations between children and their parents about things that probably don't really exist, like, I don't know, decent human beings. I don't know, something about it. I like the social aspect of fast food probably more than the fast food. It's just a weird thing for people to come together in this place where you're eating bad food. Everyone's kind of embarrassed to be there on some level,
Yeah, but I miss those days like going into fast food restaurants with my friends, and this was like even when I was in my 20s, early 20s, but still in my 20s. Like I was going to McDonald's with a couple of friends, and we were going so we could get on the Wi-Fi and play Pokemon. And yeah, eat chicken nuggets. Like it's all good, It is that social aspect. But like we wanted to be able to I think there was some weird connecting feature on the Nintendo DS at that point. And it's been so long since I played Pokemon on a DS. I can't even give the right details.
Can you do me a favor? I'm going to put something on screen that I want you to read in the voice of Liam Neeson.
Oh, God.
Here we go.
Not too much. I can't even do a Liam Neeson impression. I'm sorry. I can't even get through it without laughing. Getting crub stomped by Gen Zers in Warzone because my reflexes are dog shit. That would sound great in Liam Neeson's voice if I could do one.
We need someone to do Liam Neeson voice at all.
I thought it was crumb stomped, which sounds delicious.
Crumb stomped.
That sounds like a great dessert, a crumb stomp.
And Daniel is saying that Arby's mozzarella sticks are legitimately awesome.
Are there bad mozzarella sticks, though?
I'm not a fan of mozzarella sticks at all. I mean, mozzarella doesn't have lactose, very low, so I could technically eat them, but I have a bad, psychosomatic reaction to all cheese because of what all the real cheeses do to me.
Oof, fair enough.
So Russia's Ashes says, I spent my 20s watching The Sausage Factory and realizing I knew nothing. So I want to say, Russia's, I recently received a message that asked me, it's like, why are you the only one that brings serious topics onto Region Free? And I think they were saying I wasn't any fun. I think that was the point. And
I disagree with that.
Well, no, I kind of agree with it. I mean, but I think that the thing about Sausage Factory and then Region Free is that the show is about bringing a bunch of people together and letting them be them. The show never should be anything but that. And unfortunately, I am kind of, my sense of humor is really dry and my interests are what they are, right? So it wasn't your question. I understand. I don't mean to make it sound like you sent me that message, but it just reminded me of that because I remember I thought it was funny that they think that I'm this kind of drop dead serious person all the time.
No, I mean, the thing is, you bring topics to Region Free that, a couple days after the fact, Chris and I will still talk about. I'll be, thinking about, yeah, hey, that thing that Lauren was talking about, what was it with the disaster movies from Region Free? Yeah, I mean, we were talking about that the other day, And then there was also, was it you that mentioned how everything's more geared towards kids these days?
Yeah. Adults that pretend they're still children, yeah.
Yeah, and so I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, yeah, they're pretty much, a lot of this is just copying the Stranger Things model, and I was like, well, the reason it worked is because you're watching kids and it's set in the 80s. That's why it doesn't work when you're putting kids in present day.
I think so. I think the part of the reason we have nostalgia for the 80s isn't really because the 80s were cool, because they weren't. They were a pretty awful time to be around. If you really lived through it and you're being real honest, yeah, they weren't. But they didn't have that exclamation point to them. Like the decade didn't have its moment of redemption, as it were. The 60s had Woodstock, you know. The 80s didn't have that moment. They had plenty of events, but they didn't have that moment that really capped it off and said, "Okay, this is what it was." Instead, the 90s came and just beat the shit out of the 80s. And within through 2 years, you'd like nothing in the 80s was like in the public consciousness as anything cool anymore. So I think it's just like an entire generation like mine that grew up then. Most of my age group just won't let it go because we didn't have that moment. We didn't have our Woodstock. We didn't have our moonshot. We didn't have any of those cool things that would really like bring that generation really together. All we had was like shopping malls and synth rock and whatever. It was. I think people are still searching for that, for like why we're addicted to the time. And it's not just because we grew up then either, because other generations are not this way.
I mean, at least we had 9/11.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that. I wonder what the next generation's going to have. I mean, what, the economic collapse of 08? But that doesn't seem like it would work.
The economic collapse of 2022?
I know! That is true. That's a very good point. It's coming. It's coming. Like, that's scarier than any horror movie right now.
Stu's just trying to bait me into talking about the Alien movies. Not going to do it. This is going to be an alien-free show.
You mean an aliens-free show?
Yeah. An alien-free show.
We'll just leave out the entire franchise altogether.
Yeah. We'll only talk about the second Alien versus Predator movie. You know, the one that was darker than the movie theaters it was being shown in.
I can't with that movie. Sorry. I'm not a Requiem person. I am an AVP. I'll allow AVP, but AVP Requiem is like...
AVP is I don't think it's a good film, but I think it's interesting because it's Lovecraft's At the Mountains of Madness, rewritten for the two iconic monsters. It's scary. I mean, At the Mountains of Madness is about a group of explorers who go to the Antarctic and discover a temple where a race of ancient aliens crashed onto Earth, and their slave class rose up against them and destroyed them. And at the end, the remnants of the slave class chase the humans out of the temple. Does that sound familiar at all? So I think it's fascinating that like they took something really great in horror fiction and without like acknowledging it, just ripped it the hell off, threw the Alien versus Predator thing on top of it.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. I mean, there's things I don't think are cool. I don't think having the human predator girl, the girl wearing the predator, killing a queen, the alien queen, like that. It doesn't work.
It's a little too easy to kill.
Yeah. I don't know. That's the problem the whole Alien franchise, and we're talking about aliens, but the whole Alien franchise has had, which is that the first film portrayed the monster as essentially unbeatable. Mm-hmm. You know, Ripley gets it away from her, but we're not even sure that thing's dead at the end of that movie.
Yeah,
it might be floating in space waiting for an opportunity. We don't really know. But starting with the second film, you shot them and they died.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the third film made it harder to kill them, but it still was not quite the cosmic horror element was gone.
Oh, yeah.
And then after that, they're incredibly easy to kill. It seems like the queens are getting killed by regular humans. And what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, yeah, that is true. Well, that was a fun non-talk about aliens.
It was. Well, we didn't actually talk about aliens.
That's true. That is true.
Ben Grimm, I'm not sure if he was responding to someone, but he says he loves Jeff Fahey in Psycho 3.
Wasn't he in, am I thinking Lawnmower Man?
Was.
Oh, okay. Wait, he played Job, right? It's been a long time.
I saw it in theaters, and that's the last time I saw it. I never saw the sequel. I never saw the sequel.
Yeah.
And my understanding is that is the correct way to go about it, is to pretend the sequel does not exist.
Yeah. Also, weirdly enough, speaking of Pierce Brosnan type things, so like I found this list of baby names, like top baby names for this year, and like in the boy or girl column, which it's like it goes both ways. It's like Remington, and I'm like Remington Steele. That's okay.
We're going to name children after weapons exclusively for the next year.
That is exactly what Chris said.
It'd be hilarious. Have you met my kid, Hauser?
Again, this is just going back to like his the whole thing about his if Charles Bronson was alive, what like Charles Bronson's preferred pronouns would be, which would be Smith and Wesson.
Yeah.
I mean, those have to be your preferred pronouns if your name's Remington.
I would assume.
I would too.
So I mean, the Psycho films, because now they're talking about Psycho films, and Dan has just made a great Baldwin joke, but it's funny because I think like the second Psycho film is, I think, one of the unsung like near masterpieces of horror. And the third film is Anthony Perkins made this really sleazy kind of dumb slasher, but that's what he set out to make.
Yeah.
So it works for what it is. It's just coming off that second film, it's whiplash. to come off something so kind of reverent and lyrical and smart, and then Psycho 3 happens.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen Psycho 2 though.
Oh, you haven't seen Psycho 2?
No. Am I going to have to do these in a binge watch? Is that in my best interest?
Yeah, well, you know what? I would just stop there. Like, Psycho 4 has its fans. Cliff Booth is out there saying that he's a big fan of it. But it was made for cable, and it looks it. And Anthony Perkins basically talks on a telephone for 60 minutes.
Okay.
So I mean, it has its fans. It's mostly a prequel. But I'm not very warm on it. I don't hate it. It's fine. It's whatever it is. I'll never watch it again in my life. Whereas I watch Psycho 2 really regularly. Huh. It also was one of the first horror films that I saw in theaters.
There you go.
So that helps. That was a great summer. That Jaws 3D.
Yeah, Jaws 3D is the first one I saw.
Did you get a headache as well?
Jaws. Huh?
Did you get a headache as well from the bad 3D?
Oh yes, it's a hot mess. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it because it's a hot mess. And you know what? I still love seeing that terrible 3D shark go dunk into the glass wall, and it's terrible. It's so bad.
You gotta wonder if that was like a placeholder effect, and they just ran out of time to replace it with the real effect, because it's mind-boggling to me that that's in the movie.
Yeah,
because there's other sequence like the water skiing show sequence is really strongly directed. Like you watch the photography and the editing, it's up there with the second film as far as its look and feel. But then you have shit like that, and actually all the stuff underwater, everything in the underwater base is just so bad. The kid with a look, mom, a shark, and then we get a Godzilla scene underwater. It's like, what are we watching?
Oh man, it's so cheesy. I love it.
The great Richard Matheson wrote a screenplay for Jaws 3. That's unbelievable.
And they didn't use it?
Well, look at the credits. Look at the credits of the movie.
I haven't seen Jaws 3 in a long time.
They kind of claim it's still there. For that movie, there's just no way. But I don't know. I think it's really interesting that the Jaws series stopped when it stopped, though, because I know The Revenge did not make money for obvious reasons, but you would
because they didn't go with the voodoo curse, duh.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted. Voodoo Shark. Fuck
Read,
yes.
read Hank Sierra's novelization. You'll get all that.
I know. I should.
And
I'm
it's
definitely
written.
not gonna. I'm
It's
not
written
sitting
for
down to watch
4-year-olds, so you know it's a fast read.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think I would have liked to see in like the late '90s what a Jaws movie would have looked like. Not a remake, just a Jaws 5. Like what would a Jaws 5 in like just a year after Scream came out? What would that have looked like?
Okay, Jaws 5.
Yeah.
Set in modern. Oh. I mean, it would probably be. I mean, at this point, maybe we're doing something stupid like we're deciding that aquariums are just as barbaric as circuses and shutting the aquarium down, and Jaws is like, no, bitch, I live here. Is there a hidden shark in the aquarium? And, that's bullshit. Obviously, aquariums are there for, aquariums do a lot of good work. There are ghetto aquariums like the one in San Antonio, but aquariums in general do good work. But I don't know, maybe it's something like that. That is how Shark Dan. We already know this. But I mean, where are you setting Jaws 5?
I have an entire pitch for a Jaws 5. So
is it Lake Placid with a shark?
No. My Jaws 5 would not be terribly satisfying to the people who are big fans of the later Jaws films. I think you recast the Brody role into someone alive and very old.
Old man Brody.
Exactly what it is. But you force him back to the island. He's been living on the mainland since the events of Jaws 2. And you bring him back to the island.
Then we're retconning it, though.
Every film in the series retcons. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
You bring him back to the island, but my whole concept is that much like most of the Jersey Shore in the late 90s, early 2000s, like Amity Island is a ghost town. It hit economic straits. It's never recovered. You have him go back. His wife has died. He's now going to finally sell the property. And he goes back, and there's a storm that basically strands him on the island. And it becomes a kind of an old man facing his final act. And the shark becomes incidental. Like, yeah, there's a shark. Or maybe there's a shark. But you make it more about a man facing his mortality. I think you could do a deeply meaningful film with the right actor. And I've always said, as weird as this is going to be to people, I've always thought if you cast Clint Eastwood as Brody, as an old man now.
He's got the right facial structure, too.
Right, and he could bring that sadness because he can look at you and make you, like, weep.
Yeah. I was just thinking of Liam Neeson as Brody, and then it's just taken with a shark, though.
Listen, shark.
Poor Liam Neeson.
I have a very specific set of fishing skills.
Oh, Liam Neeson can be the Quint.
Oh my god. No, because you know what? Any scene where he's not just like about to punch someone, Liam Neeson always looks like he's a little bit constipated.
Look, I'm gonna be honest. The last thing I saw Liam Neeson was The Haunting.
I'm sorry.
I am too.
The Haunting is that I remember staring at that screen and getting angrier and angrier and angrier.
I'm so glad I wasn't the only one.
I mean, I worship.
I know
the novel.
Oh, I know.
And the Wise film is sacred territory. That thing, holy hell!
It's a movie that wasn't released. It escaped.
Well, that's what happens when you make Speed and you make a ton of money, and people just start handing you money to make whatever you want. And you're like, why don't I destroy a horror classic? That's what I'll do this weekend.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what Hollywood is going to do as far as like destroying horror classics next. I mean, what's on, like, Scream is, I would say it's, it's a classic. But I mean, I'm sure there are some other sacred cows we can sacrifice, right?
Oh yeah.
What are we gonna ruin next? I saw somebody talking about how they're manifesting things on Twitter, and they were talking about like legit, like totally serious about manifesting things, and they're like, I will write / sell a movie to Blumhouse, and I'm like, I'm not trying to harsh your vibes, but aim higher. For fuck's sake, aim higher. I mean, you could just show up and be like, look, I have a vagina, let me have a movie.
Right. Or the Blumhouse will simply, well, do you own your own like smartphone? Because you need that to make the movie for us. I mean, all those direct to streaming Blumhouse films are like, they're all made for like $20,000. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I could just, I mean, if I had an iPhone, I could probably do that, but I have an Android, so not quite good. Maybe if I use the right Instagram filter, no one will know and they'll think it's spooky.
There needs to be a Liam Neeson Instagram filter.
That is a Snapchat filter. That is a completely different app.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't snap.
Yes, I think that's how it works.
Or face the books.
I don't know. I barely understand Instagram. I understand the concept of hashtags, but it's like I feel like the hashtag is only really for Instagram. Like Twitter only uses it in order to like keep track of trends, but it's not. I feel like if you use it too much, it just makes you look like a moron. That should be on Instagram. I say that using hashtags regularly.
Griffin, they would never hire me at Blumhouse.
Nope.
A, they do some research and they'd be like, yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
And B, they have what's your pitch for Insidious 8? And I'd be like, okay, so we're gonna ignore everything that happened before.
Oh,
I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a horror. I'd work for people, but Blum would never give me that opportunity.
Oh no. And I mean, that's kind of this thing that sucks because like I was on the Twitters again, like I shouldn't be, because it never ends well. And I'm not trying to shit on people that are actually making money and writing for horror outlets. That's fine. Some of them are actually thoughtful pieces, and those are the people I tend to follow. But then sometimes I'll come across other accounts where it's like, oh, they're part of the Bloody Disgusting Podcast Network, and they won an award from Shudder. I'm shocked. It's like, it's just, I'm so surprised. It's like, are they both, I mean, like, I'm just imagining, like, Shudder and Bloody Disgusting, they both got to have each other's cocks in their mouths. Like, it's a weird 69 thing happening there.
They both have been through a lot of boxes of crackers, that's for sure.
Ain't that the truth? Oh, it's just, I'm like, award, and they put this on award-winning podcast. I'm like, oh, Shudder. Okay, well, Bloody Disgusting.
I love my Shudder. I love them. I think they're good people. Bloody Disgusting, I've had my fairly public disagreements with. Shudder, I think, are fighting the good fight. And I mean, they can't all be winners. So like, every once in a while, they'll do or say something that's just patently absurd. But they're still heroes to me.
Yeah, I mean,
until someone does it better.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like a lot of the stuff that I see from the major horror outlets, there's really very little authenticity. I mean, I feel like Rue Morgue is still giving it the old college try there, but it's been a few weeks since I've been on there too. So
yeah, I actually removed all those bookmarks for all the big horror sites because the temptation to click on them always ended in badness. I'd click there and they'd be talking about it's like, well, the hidden homoerotic themes of a clearly straight movie, and you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
like there's legitimate queer horror cinema that you could cover if that's what you want to do. Why exactly are you dragging like The Hills Have Eyes into this because there's nothing there.
Yeah. I mean, there was an article I saw on Dread Central where it was like, I looked at the tweet and it said, why Don't Breathe 2 is an insult to sexual assault survivors. And I'm like, and I did read the article. And I mean, from what I gathered, basically it's like the main critique is that there's nobody to cheer for. And I'm like, that was the point of the first one, right?
Yeah. Oh, you might have noticed that those characters that broke into the vet's house were scumbags. You might have noticed that.
Yeah, and he was also a scumbag.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's like, and it's like, I understand the critique, but also at the same time, Don't Breathe 2 is an insult to sexual assault survivors, and obviously we know of the turkey baster scene, and then and whatnot in the first one. And in Seed of Chucky, Tiffany rapes Jennifer Tilly with a turkey baster and impregnates her. But Chucky's this progressive icon, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? I'm so confused.
Okay, we're gonna go there. Here's my full-throated defense of Seed of Chucky. Went to go see it in the theater, sat down, was expecting Bride of Chucky, so kind of a campy, self-aware but reverent to old horror film, right? And that's not what I got. What I got was this insane cartoon that was full of like sex and violence and intentionally not landed jokes, and it's just a crazy movie. I feel the same way about Spice World. Like Spice World is a movie that we should all hate, right? Because it's Spice World, but Spice World is insane. Like,
how dare you compare Spice World, which is Oscar worthy, to Seed of Chucky? And I say that I will die on the hill for Spice World.
Spice World broke me.
I never thought I'd hear you defend Spice World. It's weird.
I will absolutely defend Spice World. Spice World is one of the strangest movies ever made.
It is. It's totally bizarre. At the
point where they change the story because the producer doesn't like it in the middle of the movie, and that's just how it's going to go. The obvious toy bus being thrown over a ravine. I mean, this stuff doesn't happen in normal cinema. And I mean, I know it was a vehicle for the Spice Girls, so you immediately want to just drag it for it. But it's a weird freaking movie, and I respect a weird movie. I respect Seed of Chucky for the same reasons. It blew my mind that I was not ready for where they were willing to go with that movie, which is why I think Cult and Curse, as solid as they are a little bit disappointing to me just because they're safe.
I think Cult is definitely crazier than Curse. There's a lot, like, that movie gets ramped up real fast, and it's just kind of like off to the races. But, Curse is a little bit slower for me. I had a very similar theater going experience. I went in expecting Bride of Chucky, and I didn't get it, and I was pissed.
I think a lot of people went that way.
Yeah, but also I'm gonna be Loud Spice from now on.
Okay.
Okay, what's your spice name?
I don't have a spice name.
Somebody's gonna say it in the chat, guys. Lauren needs a spice name.
The worm
I'm
is
Loud Spice.
Spice is the worm.
What?
That's my Dune reference.
Okay.
I realized with the new film coming out that I don't actually like Dune because I read the novel as a kid, and it didn't really affect me. It was a long read. It's kind of dense, and it just as a kid I wasn't into it. And then the Lynch film I like only for all the Lynch weird stuff. So I realized I shouldn't go see the new movie because it's like I just don't really like Dune.
I have not consumed any Dune things. So.
Well, you know what? Ben Grimm might have just won, by the way.
Oh, Diet Spice. Actually, yes, that might be it. Ooh, Turnpike Spice. Not bad. Oh, Dry Spice Rub. Not bad.
Well, I do dry rub on my ribs and my chicken wings. I don't like sauces, so that's.
I can understand that.
See, grumpy spice.
I like that a lot.
Soda spice.
I think Diet Spice is kind of on the mark.
I think Diet Spice might have won.
Yeah.
Good job making me feel fat, Ben. I appreciate that.
Oh.
And they wonder why we only do these once a month.
This isn't even a community show. It doesn't even get that crazy.
Nah.
Grammarly Spice. Oh. Griffin with the cynical spice. I could see. I was always like a big Ginger Spice fan.
I
like Sporty. She's great. She can
Yeah,
sing.
but the whole thing with Ginger Spice was just, let's be honest with you, she was the hot English Alterna girl. It's just how it was.
It was like between her and Posh. You know? Because it's like, that's the resting bitch face. That's your first exposure to it.
Yeah, but Posh's hair looked like it ended at a sharp enough angle that it'd poke your eye out.
It looked like doll hair. Like girls that you've brushed their hair too many times and it's just barely hanging on. That was kind of a thing. That was kind of a problem. At least Ginger, it's like, you know, you could think about making out with her and running your fingers through her hair and it would all be there. Pallid Spice. Oh.
There's a good chance that if you made out with Ginger Spice and ran your hands through her hair, though, some of the dye would still be on your hands.
True. But there were a lot of different colors, so it'd just be like a rainbow. Just because. Yeah. I mean, although I did like Jerry Halliwell's version of It's Raining Men, that was a good cover.
Jerry Halliwell, I think, was probably the best performer, not singer. That's the thing, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, what are we basing this on? It's like singing versus performing.
Let's not fool ourselves. None of those girls were like great singers.
I mean, they're not Adele. All five of them wouldn't be Adele.
Yeah, I don't see Adele or Chris Cornell sitting there going, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I know. And basically Adele has just like turned herself into a Spice Girl. She just started with the talent and then she's like, oh, working out helps my anxiety. Now I'm super hot, like hotter than she already was. And it's like, it's kind of like, Jesus Christ, Adele, do you have to have all the things? Can you save some for the rest of us?
Well, how close is she to 27? That was a very dark joke, but whatever. Well, we've been going for an hour 13. We'll go for a little while. If you guys out there have something you want us to talk about, since we haven't really actually involved you in the conversation.
I know. It's just like this conversation was off the rails, and no, we're not snorting them.
So, scream it out there as long as it's not Halloween Kills or Candyman. We'll take it on. Okay. Wait. Sam, is your Liam Neeson voice ready now?
Can I do an Irish brogue?
Okay. No, you're not doing an Irish brogue. I'll tell you what.
He's Irish.
Do Clint Eastwood. Ready?
27 for Toulouse. That's not even.
That was like a 25-year-old Clint Eastwood.
I have to go smoke some more cigarettes for this to sound like Clint Eastwood. I'm sorry.
27 for the lulls. That's about him now.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
Oh my
god. He says, Ben Grimm says, Paranormal Activity franchise and Next of Kin.
It can die in a fire.
I think it did.
I haven't seen it. I guess I should watch it.
No, you really should.
I'm already thinking I was already going to have to watch The Craft Legacy, and now I got to watch Paranormal Activity.
Listen, the only thing good that came out of Paranormal Activity is that Gregory Plotkin's editing skills landed him Hellfest. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, hey, good for him.
I remember being so excited for that first film because I'd been following it as it made its festival circuit run, and it had its buzz around it. Spielberg came out in support of it and threw money at them to refilm the ending. I was like, it's great. These guys made a film for the cost of a car. I'm getting Blair Witch vibes. I'm down. The idea of setting up cameras in a house, in a haunted house, this all works for me. And then I sat down in that theater that night and went, nothing is happening. Why is nothing happening? And by the end of it, nothing had happened. Look, the chandelier might have slightly moved. Aren't you spooked out? No.
No.
No, I'm not.
Oh, speaking of weird shit like that, I saw this great meme and somebody was like, Zach Baggins is the Joe Exotic of fucking horror, and I'm like, yeah.
Uh-oh.
I'm like, you ain't wrong.
Rock Music Forever 90s calling you out. Sam, where's your rant video on the Laurie Strode and the new Halloween movies? You said you'd have another stream.
I know, I did, and I should have had it up by now. Things have been busy, so I mean, let's see. God, why? I thought we were going to talk about Halloween Kills.
No, we're not talking about Halloween Kills.
I'm gonna do. All right, I'll give it like a minute on this. And put a timer on. Oh wait, we have a timer on here. Shit. I mean, it's just like, okay, so the problem I have with Laurie is she has no fucking balls. She has no balls in the new Halloween movies. You know, at least she had a set in Halloween H2O, because I mean, she went after Michael, you know, with an axe and eventually chopped his head off until she was like, oops, wrong guy. And at least in Resurrection, before she gets killed, she's got a little pulley system set up to trap him. I'm like, okay, at least you're trying. And I mean, she's been hiding those pills in that fucking doll, which, you know, like Chris immediately calls bullshit on, because it's like, no, they check everything. It's like, I love my husband. Sometimes he's Mr. Well, actually, and it's fine. So, but like in the new Halloween movie, she's traumatized after, like, she's been living in fear for 40 years because of a couple of murders, and she got a little boo-boo on her arm. She didn't have to go through the events of Halloween 2.
She's really upset about that 3.5 hours of her life that went bad.
I know, and it's like, Laurie, you were a loser in high school, and you still remained a loser. It's like, Jesus Christ, stop being a victim. And then, but it's like she just, you know, and it's like she goes and she has a daughter, and she spreads this fucking trauma and fear onto the next generation because she doesn't, like, she never learned to deal with it. And it's like, that's so fucking sad. It's like, you're fucking useless. And then she loses her daughter when her daughter's 12. At least that's what it was. You know, they mentioned that in the Halloween 2018. And I'm like, well, good job, idiot. I mean, now you fucked up your daughter royally, and then her daughter's trying, like, I feel bad for Karen, because Karen's trying to, like, live a normal life, and she's still dealing with her crazy ass mother over here. And then, of course, at the end of Halloween Kills, if you've seen it, you understand why I think Karen got kind of a raw deal. And, you know, it's like, dude, Laurie, you suck. You've ruined, like, you're not doing anything. You're not. Yeah. What's the point? Why do we care about you?
New Laurie is not a relatable character, and that's the problem, because the whole reason the first film works is because she's relatable. It's I don't know. I've been through this a million times, but when you are constructing a hero, the most important thing about that hero isn't their likability. It's not what they're doing, why they're doing. The most important thing is that people will be able to see themselves in that character.
Yeah.
They don't have to be relatable, but you have to understand and say, if I was in this situation, X, Y, Z. And the thing is, like, right from the get-go, like, if she was really traumatized for the rest of her life, she would not live in Haddonfield. And the H2O writers clearly had that conversation and said, it just doesn't work. And they figured it out. That's why it takes place where it takes place. Not because they couldn't film it in Haddonfield, right?
Yeah.
They could have just put a subtitle up saying Haddonfield and it would have been done. They realized that it didn't work. For this, they had to put her there. And now they've really, by reversing the brother-sister angle, there's no reason for Michael to go after her.
And he just wants to stare off into the void and jerk off in front of his sister's window.
Right. And they keep saying, well, Dr. Satane drove him to the house, but he didn't. That's not why Michael. That's not what the film ends in the film. That's why Michael just ends up there. He's following the daughter, the granddaughter, at that point. So Sartain did not do his job. Okay, it doesn't make any sense. It's lame. Whatever.
I know.
I don't want to talk about this movie.
I know. Lori sucks.
Yeah.
She has no reason to be traumatized, and she's like fucked up her family because of it. And Michael doesn't even want to kill her. Halloween Kills is the last Jedi of the trilogy, obviously, and it shows. It shows everywhere. It's embarrassing. I can't wait to see how many people are going to have their panties in a twist because we didn't care for Halloween Kills. How many little red taints out there are going to need to be powdered after this?
I keep saying that if you want to make a Halloween film, that's fine. I really would wish they just let it go. But, at this point, why can't Michael just be kind of like the ghosts from The Fog? The good film, not the later film, in which he's physical, he's real, but he's kind of a ghost at this point. He's a legend of Halloween, haunts the town of Haddonfield. It makes a hell of a lot more sense than trying to make him real.
They could just leave him alone.
Yeah,
I haven't seen what's that last movie in the Star Wars, the new trilogy. It's like it's lining up perfectly with the shit show that the Star Wars trilogy is.
It's a Star Wars Blue Waffle.
Yeah, you're right. Or Rusty Trombone.
Yeah.
Halloween ends with a rusty trombone.
As it should.
Yeah.
Okay, we had one other question in here about something. Lots of very kind conversation about my books.
While I was talking about that.
Griffin says, thoughts on Dr. Phibes Rises Again?
I have not seen it. I'm not sure what we're talking.
Both Vincent Price vehicles are a lot of fun. They have that Amicus Studios vibe running through them, so you have that kind of cool Robert Bloch-esque like dialogue and plotting. I like both films. I think the first film probably like a little bit more, but ask me on a different day, I might feel differently. They're both strong. If you like Prince, yeah. If you like Prince, then I don't know what I'm talking about. If you like Price, then it's hard to go wrong with them. They're pretty great.
I'm just thinking about like Vincent Price saying like the
little red
hiding words to When Doves Cry.
Yeah. Maybe you're just like I can't even do a Vincent Price.
That's okay. I can't. That's too much.
Man, but Vincent Price was just he was the OJ, right? There's no question about it. Like,
did you call him the OJ?
The OG.
I was like, Lauren, you're not that old.
No, he's just he was just. Most people can't even name a movie he's in, honestly, in the horror community, but we all love him anyway. I mean, it's just bigger than life. Like, if you really think about it, he doesn't have his, like, Karloff had Frankenstein, right? Lugosi had Dracula. What is the character that we supposedly are supposed to be, like, always identify with Vincent Price? And, yeah, it's not. It's a body of work. He stayed in the genre. He worked for 45 years. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's very true. Just completely ubiquitous.
Okay, so Brock, you're getting the last one here. Thoughts on Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the Kenneth Branagh film from '94. Personally, wasn't really a fan. Kenneth Branagh felt miscast to me. Well, since he directed the film as well.
I was gonna say, like, he can do it. I mean, he can put himself where he wants. I'll let you take this, Lauren, because I have funny stories related to this.
I hate the movie. I absolutely hate the movie. It's horrible. Everything from the Electric Eels, which is his dumbest addition ever, to De Niro's really confused performance as the monster.
I mean,
he looks good, but
does look good.
But the character makes no sense in the plot line. They overdeveloped certain aspects of the novel and they completely ignored others. It's a big missed opportunity. The title is misleading because it makes it sound like it's a more pure adaptation, and it's not. It's closer than I guess the Karloff films, sure, but it's really still very far from the novel. And yeah, it's kind of a film I will again never go back and revisit because it was such a miserable experience for me.
I know you're more of an I, Frankenstein fan.
I will take I, Frankenstein over that probably.
Damn. Okay, I wouldn't.
Well, because again, you can look at the screen and laugh at the incompetence, but like Kenneth Branagh knows how to make a film, and he made a piece of crap. That's the difference.
I know. You got it. It's a good point. I saw. Yeah, I honestly like. I still. I guess. I mean, for me, I like it, but I saw it. It's also kind of a nostalgia bump to a lesser degree, since I had to do a book report when I was in 6th or 7th grade, and I was going to do Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And, you know, had to give a presentation. And so because I'm a crazy person, I had to make my report extremely weird. And I decided to take one of the scenes from Branagh's, version, which, not in the book to my knowledge, where they hang Justine. And because they believe that she killed that kid or whatever. And I used a Barbie doll one of those talking Barbie dolls, Justine, and I wrapped a pair of headphones, like the cord of a pair of headphones, around her neck, and like threw this fucking doll's ass off the podium in class. But I asked, do you have any last words, Justine? And then I pressed the button on the back of her, and it's like, yeah, she spouted out some random phrase.
That's
so
far better than the film.
Yeah, I mean, like, I did shit like this a lot. I had to do, when I was in high school, I had to do a book report for The Little Mermaid. Because we had to pick, it was for aquatic science, we had to pick ocean or sea themed fiction or whatever. And I picked The Little Mermaid because the original Hans Christian Andersen story is really fucking dark. Yeah. And The Little Mermaid gets her tongue cut out. And I got a couple of strips of beef. I don't even know what part of the cow they were. I don't think they were tongue, but I made them to look like a tongue with like some powder, flour and some red food coloring, and just kind of shaping them so they looked like this really long cut off mermaid tongue. And I brought it to school in a cooler with ice because I'm an insane person. Oh, he's muted. You're muted, Lauren.
Wow, that's not a big surprise. All right. Well, I love that story. We need more of those stories of your misspent childhood. But not tonight, because we're going to call it a night, because I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning.
Oh my God, me too.
Yeah, this is my life now. And it's interestingly, now that the finger is starting to heal and I can feel the tendon trying to reform, now it kind of hurts. It didn't hurt doing it, but now it kind of hurts. So I want to thank everyone out there in the chat that joined us tonight. It's been a lot of you, and it's been a really passionate chat about a lot of great subjects. Everyone had nice things to say about us. We love you. All the rest of you, well, there's other shows. Is there any final words, Sam?
No, you guys are always fun. You always have. I'm always grateful to see everybody in the chat. Y'all always know all the things, and it's just fun, being exposed to all the extra knowledge. And y'all are cool as fuck. So I hope the rest of the weekend goes amazingly for y'all.
Yeah, VBV is the best audience there is.
It's true.
Night, guys. And Hollywood
Yeah, I love
said,
that.
see if you can do it.
You okay, buddy?
You know, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff.
Either way.
So if you like,
Nature.
Take a look.
burned my skin, futzed around in the water, driftwood all over the beach, and